Okay, so in our discussion today, kind of talking about these other tools, we're kind of moving away from the building with the curves tools, where we can just start building with just straight polygons, basically, if that's what you prefer. But there's some pretty important tools that I, continuously always use. I kind of want to just go over and explain, um, talking about whenever you go into extruding. We've kind of mentioned extruding before. Extruding is just basically you have a piece here, and if you go into face mode, select the face, you can extrude out how you want it, like this right here. Um, that's all fine and dandy and everything, but I guess with this next little exercise, we'll be using some what we call pre-planning. So it's kind of like how do you basically plan for the object you're going to make? What can you do with the object? Can you make the object just out of the basic tools Maya provides, instead of drawing these things basically with the surface or the curve tool? Like, how would I go about making, um, say for instance, how would I go about making this coffee cup right here? I could basically take some of the tools in Maya already and say like a cylinder and connect basically a torus to it. So in that style of, doing things, you'd have to basically kind of pre-plan for it. So, and we'll kind of go over that and show you some of the tools basically related on how to actually achieve this little design right here. So first of all was the extrude tool. Then we'll talk about divisions, adding divisions in here. So say like if you wanted to extrude some stuff for here and like start box modeling basically out of this, you'd need to add some divisions over here. And you can just do that just by typing some values here. Now if you were to collapse this actually box, you'd have kind of a pretty nice little edged box out. Say if you wanted to make the edges a little sharper, but how do you divide these visions? Well, you could go to edge mode and basically ring select and kind of slide these things to the edge, but honestly, that's not really necessary. Two of my favorite tools that I use are the insert edge loop. Basically, you click on it and you create an edge loop around. So if I wanted to create a horizontal line, I would click on the vertical edge down there. So now if you preview, your box looks a little bit straighter. You can tell I don't have it here. Say if you didn't have any divisions in the box itself and you collapsed it or you smoothed it over, you've got it like that now. But if you just wanted these edges to be smoothed out and not create a bunch of divisions in there, you could insert edge loop tool here. Now if you smooth it over. Just another way of creating divisions in there. With the edge loop, you have the offset edge loop tool, which I like to use. Basically, this will run an offset down the straight line. Basically will create a two edge offset of the one edge line that you wanted to use. There's other methods creating divisions. You could actually go in here to edge mode, the side, select all these, shift and right click, and connect components. That will work. That creates one directly right in the middle. You can slide up and down. So whenever we're going to create objects together, say for instance the cup that I just showed up there, you'd want to combine these two objects. Now we talked about that with the teapot, combining the curbs together, grouping, but this is actually combining the meshes together. So in other words, if we had two boxes here and we have these two boxes, we created these duplicates right here, we want to be able to like kind of merge these two together, be able to work on them. Like connect the faces or connect the vertexes, you need to really combine these edges or combine these meshes together. So you'd select both of them, mesh combine. Now you basically have two ways of you can manipulate these two. Say if you wanted to create like an arch across here, this will come in handy. The bridge tool is another one. We'll skip the welding vertex for now, but the bridge tool. And these are basically all on this palette down here. I'm kind of going down the line. The extrude, the bevel, I'll go back and do bevel, but we'll do bridge real quick. The thing about the bridge has to be collected basically, the equal amount of sides has to be selected. So I have 4 here and 4 there, and I'm going to bridge this together. So if I click on bridge, you notice it says straight line. That's because it's on a linear. You need to change it to blend. You need to add some divisions in there. That's why there's no curvature, because there's no divisions. So I'm just like middle mouse clicking and like it's sliding, basically like a slider. So now, and that basically bridges faces together, and it's created new faces. When it comes to welding vertexes and stuff like that, go back to undo. You can do this by welding vertexes. I want to delete these two faces like this right here. Delete that face, and notice they still are the same mesh. You can basically take this vertex and this vertex and connect them. You want to go to vertex mode, you can go to move. Just because you move the vertex over, it doesn't mean that there's not two vertexes there, which will be problematic. So you really need to weld these together. And you can just select both of them, shift and right click, merge vertexes to center, and it merges them together. So now you have one vertex. But I like to use this thing called a target tool, target weld. And I have my vertex welded that I'm going to target or weld together, but I need to target it to another vertex. So I'll select my initial vertex, hit the target weld tool, then basically it'll draw a straight line to the other vertex, and now we're connected. That's super handy. So exploring some more of these over here, these more of these tools over here, basically. Go to object mode, delete, get rid of this. This bevel tool is used handily, basically on the edge tool, really. You want to bevel it out, give it some more of a fraction, basically like that. You can do multiple edges. Say if I turn this thing upside down and selected these 4 edges, selected the bevel, and I can just kind of slide and adjust my fraction like that. And you can, which can get a little crazy, but it's very handy, you can create divisions by this multi-cut tool. So basically what I'm doing is selecting a vertex, then select another vertex, and if you press enter, now you have a division there. And you also need to like deselect it by like hitting that off there. So say if I wanted to get right in the middle of this division, I would hold the multi-cut tool over and press F. I'm sorry. Press shift, I'm sorry, and it'll take you right to the middle. So now I have one directly right in the middle. If you notice, if I just click on there, it's giving me a percentage. That means that's a percentage of the distance between the two vertexes that I'm going to connect. So I'm at 87% away from this top vertex and a negative that from this other vertex here. If I want to go right to the middle, I would just hit shift. I would suggest using the multi-tool or multi-cut tool sparingly right now till you get used to some of the other tools, but it's pretty handy if you need a division to cut in there. You could just hit shift and it'll basically select you all the way around. Press enter. And then you can kind of do what you want to with the faces. You could extrude that, extrude more. So now, another thing I'll show you is this transform. Let's talk about this edge slide because we'll use this, or you should be able to use that in some of the projects. If you look over in the transform constraint, and you have this thing on edge slide. So in other words, if you're in edge mode, basically, and I want to move this edge up or down, however I want to use it, it'll move it straight down. It's probably a bad example. Let me drop a sphere in there. It's a little easier to demonstrate. So say I want to move this edge up a little bit, and I have the edge slide off. Well, if you just keep moving up, now you're moving basically the edge off the actual object itself. If you have edge slides on, then you can basically keep the actual edge, the actual division on the actual geometry itself. Because if you notice, you try to pull it off, it won't go off the object. Like it's not going anywhere. I'm not able to do anything. I'm only able to actually slide the edge on the object itself. And this works the same way with vertex too. So in other words, if I wanted to kind of create like a hole shape here out of this right here, these 4 divisions, or no, let's go like delete, delete, delete. I would select my vertex and I have it on edge slide. So now I can kind of actually push up, push this one to the side, push this one down, push that one to the side. So now basically I didn't slide it off the tool itself. So, and as we talked about extruding on paths, you could actually draw a curve coming out of there and extrude this shape going around on your curved path. So where my piece is. Bad example. Turn this. Show you what I'm talking about. Okay, there's the side right there. So if I wanted to draw a piece coming out of here, I would go to edge mode and I would select all these edges, take it off of slide mode. Then select the path. It's really weird. It doesn't have any, it's just going from a straight line, but that's because there's no divisions. So I'm just going to add some divisions here. Oh, it looks like I didn't have an edge selected. Back that up. Or my path is offset, but you get the idea. So in the next kind of exercise tutorial we'll be combining geometry together for these different shapes up here, because if you notice in the polygon primitives up here, there's all kinds of different shape, torus, cone, pipes, and these are good to use. Kind of go ahead and get your shape to where you want it to be at, in other words. how would I, that's why that pathogen was upside down. Like this cup was basically created not out of our revolve tool or surface tool, which you could do, but I created this cup basically out of a cylinder and a torus. I combined the geometry, then I welded the vertexes on the handle. But it came with a little bit of planning, in other words, to make it very smooth topology. And I can kind of walk through that and show you how I did that, because I think it'll come in handy with the exercises and the projects coming up. So, okay, and I will continue that one in the next little blurb tutorial. Okay.